So welcome back. I think we can carry over from where we left last week. I think it was on
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah,
So we had discussed maybe just a recap. My screen is shared. I hope you can be able to see it.
yeah,
Yeah. So we had started looking at CSS. We defined what CSS is. We said it's cascaded style sheet, and it means that the styles are cascaded. They are applied one after the other. And we said there are different
yeah,
types of CSS. There is browser-based CSS. That is, if
yeah,
you don't apply any style, then your page picks up what the browser provides. Then we also said there is internal
yeah,
CSS where you can link up with the style element. Then you also have the external CSS. Then where we can use an external document, which is what is preferred. And then you also say there's what you call inline styles,
yeah,
which you can apply a style directly inside CSS. And I think we also looked at why we use CSS, and we looked at things like maybe separating of the content from the style, improving aesthetics, responsive design, faster page loads, easier maintenance. It enables advanced layouts, and so forth and so forth. Then I think we also looked at what CSS is used for, and we said it can be used for styling text, it can be used for backgrounds, it can be used for spacing, layouts, responsive design, styling buttons and form elements. It can also be used for animation and transitions, and even element reusability. You can be able to reuse element several times. And of course, there is the issue of also element visibility. We can decide what is visible and what is not visible, and so forth and so forth. So I think that was
yeah,
our agenda for what we talked about last time. So today, and I think we also looked at, sorry, I think we also looked at selectors, and we said we have simple selectors, and we discussed things like element selectors, we discussed things like class selectors, we discussed things like ID selectors, right? So I think
yeah,
that's what we discussed last time. So today I want us to look at now the second layer of selectors, and I look at three more because we had looked at one, which is simple selectors. Today I want us to look at three more. Then we can forget about the selectors. Of course, temporarily we are forgetting about selectors, but we're going to be using those selectors over and over again as we are writing our web pages. But in terms of explaining what they are and how they work, that would be the end of it. All right.
yes,
So let me open Visual Studio Code. I'll open our file. Recent. Where's recent? I should have it here somewhere. Oh, it's here. So I'll make it big. I'll open this browser window here. I'll make them side by side. Yeah, I think that's okay, right? So we can be able to see
yeah,
our design and
yes,
our output at the same time. So I'll come back here
yeah,
and I'll say here we are talking about this is day 7, this should be day 8. I don't know why my dog is making a lot of noise in the background. So we'll start. I'll just close up that because we don't no longer need to view the pen. So I'll introduce Emmet. Then I'll simply say this is CSS selectors. So last time we had discussed about simple selectors, and we said they allow you to be able to pick things based on ID, based on element name, based on element type, based on class name, and things like that, right? So the other selectors you're going to do today are the other four categories. And first of all, we start with what we call combinator selectors. So combinator selectors. So what's a combinator selector? A combinator selector is basically a selector that allows me to select element based on relationships between them. So here, select elements based on relationships between them. And this relationship can only be of four in nature. The first one is what we call the descendant selector. Sorry. So we have the descendant selector. Why is my not kicking in well? So we have one, the descendant selector, which we use space. I'm putting there space because I can't type space and you see it. So for the descendant selector, we use space. Now here, what we're going to focus on are what we call relationships. So in relationships, we have what we call um, family. Let's call it a family tree. Okay. So in a family tree, we have parent, we have child, we also have siblings, we also have grandparents here. We have grandparent, then you have parent, then you have child. Child and siblings are the same, right? So
Yeah.
as we are going to be looking at as we're going to be looking at these combinatorial selectors, we're going to be basing it on this relationship, on a family tree. So we're going to know which one is the child of who, which one is the descendant of who, which one is the sibling of who, and so forth and so forth. So that's kind of like how a relationship works. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's generally on the combinator selector. So let me just put it here. It is general on the combinator selector. Okay.
Yeah.
When you're talking about
Yeah.
combinator selectors, we're talking about the relationship between these things, and the relationship here is based on a family tree. For family tree has grandparent, parent, child, and we also have siblings. So child and siblings are at the same level, something of the sort. Now, when we're talking about descendants, we're talking about anybody who is a direct descendant. So if I am a parent, anybody who goes beyond me is going to be my descendant. So um, assuming an element is a parent, so assuming an element is apparent, all elements related to this element applies. So when you're a descendant of somebody, you can be their child, you can be their great grandchild, you can be their great grandchild, and so forth and so forth, isn't it? So when I'm talking about a descendant, it means anybody who has a relationship between the currently selected element. Let me put some divs here. Let me give a div with an ID of main content, then another div with the ID of maybe say div with the ID of say not main content but uh, let me call it courses. Then you have another div with ID of attendance modes, right? So I have these three divs. Huh? So if I'm talking about a descendant and I'm talking about this div, it means anything inside this div is a descendant of the div itself. Are we together? Anything that's going to be inside here, so anything inside here is a descendant.
Descendant.
Anything that's going to be inside this div is a descendant. So let me put it like this. I have a paragraph here and I'll say, welcome back, right? Then
Yeah.
after that, I have another heading 5 and I say, maybe say how to apply for a course, right? Then inside
Yeah.
that, I have of another div, uh, or well, I don't need to give it an ID. I can just say another div with now, sorry, I'll put here another div, and this div over here probably will have now another paragraph that says application procedures are as follows, right? Then I'll give an ordered list. Well, I can give an ordered list. Then I give three list items, which says create an account, log on to the account, and I'll say select course, and finally apply, uh, make or pay application fees, right? So if you look at this keenly, let me just run it on the browser over here so that you're able to see the output. So you'll find that inside this div, I have this paragraph, this heading, and this div. Then I have all these elements inside it. So if I'm talking about this paragraph is a descendant of this. This H5 is a descendant of this. This div is a descendant of this. This paragraph, they are a grandchild of this, but since they are a grandchild, they're also a dependent. Okay? This ordered list is a grandchild of this div, but since they are a grandchild, they're also a descendant. This list item is a great grandchild because this is parent, this is child, this is grandchild, this is great grandchild, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this one is a great grandchild of main content, but whereas they're a grandchild, it still makes them a descendant. Okay. So what
Yeah.
we're going to do, let's come up here and put in a style, and let's say we want to pick a div with an ID of main content. So when you do that, if we want to select all the descendants, we put in a space. So I'm typing a space. Then I want to look for paragraphs that are descendants of the main parent. So I'll pick that, then I'll start typing. Then maybe I want the color or the background to be red. So I'll say background red. So you'll see that this one has a background of red and this one also has a background of red because they are descendants. So I have this and I have this. This is child, this is grandchild. So you can see still
Okay.
it has been able to apply. Are we together?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I want you to see that because let me pick now the div. Let me say I want the main content, and pick a div that is a child of the main content. Any div that's a descendant of the main content, then make the background gray so that you're able to see the difference, right? The difference, right? So you can see
Yeah.
this one has a gray background simply because
Yeah.
so you can see this one has a gray background because they are a child of the main div. Okay. So what I
Yeah.
want you to see is that this paragraph is inside here. So they're not a direct child of this, they are a direct child of this div. But because they
Yeah.
are a they are a grandchild of this main div, and because you're using the descendant selector, then even that is selected automatically. So descendant is anything that is going to be related as a descendant of the currently selected element. The element I'm selecting is the main content. So if I'm talking about
Yeah.
main content, anything that's going to be inside here, I can be able to select it and style it as appropriate. As you can see, I've picked a paragraph and all paragraphs have been put with red background. I've also picked a div. So any div that is inside here will also have now a different background, which is going to be this color over here. Are we together? So
Yes.
that is how the descendant selector work. And descendant selector is defined with a space. Okay, so it means this
Yes.
paragraph is a direct descendant of the main content over here.
Main
So
content.
how
Yeah.
they're related, so long as it is inside there, it will always be selected. Okay,
Yeah.
you want to try that out?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Richard. Mr. Richard,
Yes, yes, I can hear you.
can you scroll upwards? I see the styles.
Okay.
Let me finish. It's okay.
It's okay, right?
Yeah,
So this is what we call a descendant selector. Then besides
yeah,
descendant selector, we also have what we called besides the descendant selector, we also have what we call a child selector, also combinator selector. So child. Now child means
yeah.
the direct descendant. Child is so number two we have child selector. See, this is the direct child of selected element. Direct child. So, for example, if I'm talking about main content and I'm talking about paragraph, okay? So it will only be paragraphs that are direct children of main content. If I'm talking about direct content, I'm talking about div. I'm talking about a direct child of main content, okay? So when we're talking about the child selector, it is the direct child. Descendant is any descendant. Child is direct child, okay? So let's say, for example, we wanted to apply a style here. So maybe we can convert this one to another H5 up here. Then we have this one as H5. So we can see that we have this H5, which is a direct child of main, and this other H5, which is not a direct child of main, but they are a descendant of main. So let's first of all style them so that you see the difference. So if I say get the main content and I pick H5, that one is a descendant. So you can see they are blue in color, right?
No.
But now let's go and say direct. When you want to put direct, you'll put here greater than sign like that. That means H5 who is a direct child of main content. So you can see only this one has applied, which means only this one has applied because this is the only H5 that is a direct child of main content. This one
Yeah.
is a descendant of H5, but they're not a direct child because they are inside this div. So they are a grandchild of this, but not a child. So when you put this greater than sign, it means that you're picking the direct children. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we use greater than sign symbol like that. The greater than symbol. Okay?
Yeah.
So these are very important as we're doing our as we're going to be applying our styles. These selectors are going to play a very, very major role in how we're going to apply these styles. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can try that out, then you let me know.
Okay. It's okay.
That's okay, right?
Yeah.
So the next the next not pseudo but combinator selector is what we call the next sibling.
Yeah.
So next sibling will select one element that is a sibling to the currently selected element. Okay.
Yeah.
So next sibling. So sibling are brothers and sisters. So things that are in the same level. Okay. So if things
Yeah.
are in the same level, so they refer to siblings. So when you want to pick the next sibling, we will use a plus symbol. Okay. And as I said, it will only select the first next sibling matching selection. Okay.
Yeah.
So it will only pick the next first sibling that is going to match the selection that you've mentioned. Like for example, here we have main content, and on the main content, we can pick main content, then we can pick the next sibling. Next sibling means they're on the same level. Okay. So
Yeah.
it means that it cannot pick anything. If I'm talking about next sibling, it can't pick anything inside here. It will pick anything that is at this level, either here, that is either here or here. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say I want to pick this main content and I want to apply and maybe say greenish background to the rest of the other elements. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say lorem 30 so that it has some content. Okay.
Yeah.
Then this other I also say lorem 30 so that it also has some content. Okay.
Oh.
So I want all of sorry, I want lorem 30 without space. So that sorry, lorem 30 so that they have content. They are not going, they might not be the same uh, content per se because this is just random text. But what I want to do is I want to pick this div and I want to pick the next sibling and apply a similar style. Maybe say I want the backgrounds to be yellow. Okay. So what I'm going to
Yeah.
do is I'm going to say take the main content. Now to get the next sibling, you use plus. Okay.
Yes.
Then I'm going to say get me a name that is a div. Then maybe I can give a background of yellow. So probably maybe say background, maybe say light green, or maybe say light blue. So you can see that was only applied to one, which is this one. Even though I know that I have two divs that are direct siblings of this current div. So
Yeah.
this div is their sibling, this other div is their sibling. But if I say plus div, it means get the next sibling. So I can put a comment here, sorry, comment and say get the next sibling. This only pick one sibling.
Yeah.
Will only select the immediate next. Immediate next. First one only. Okay?
Yes.
So these are very powerful selectors as you can see. They try to make it easier for us to be able to now target very specific components based on the relationship with the current element that we have selected. Okay?
Yes.
So this one will be siblings. This one will be descendants. Descendants means it doesn't matter what the relationship is so long as they are related. This one means they are siblings. This one means they are sibling, one is following each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
What if I want all of them that are siblings towards this? I can't use this because this one is going to be, this is not siblings but direct children. This is direct children, right?
Yeah.
So these are siblings. What if I want all the siblings that applies to this current element? So to get the direct siblings, what I can do is replace the plus with a tilde. Tilde is the key next to one. And you can see it has actually applied to all of them. Maybe what I can do is to give some bit of margin, or say 20 pixels, so that they are separated from each other like that. So you can see it has applied for towards this and that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if I want for, let me just put them separate so that we are able to see. So if I pick main content, then I put a tiled and I put div, it means get all subsequent siblings. Okay? Get
Yeah.
all subsequent
Subsequent
siblings. Like
link.
that. So anything that's subsequent sibling, that style is going to apply. So maybe say, let me change the font color to red so that at least you're able to see the difference. So you can see font color has changed for all of them to red, but this one has only changed the background to light blue for the first sibling, for the next sibling after the main content. In which particular case,
Yeah.
it is the next content after this. So it will pick just that only. Then apply the style. Then for the other style, it says any sibling. So anything that anybody is related to them, which means from here coming downwards, then make it red text. You can see the idea of how it's flowing, right?
Yes.
Excellent. This is going to be very, very powerful when it comes to us for when it comes to us styling our pages because these are the selectors we're going to work with 99% of the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see now why I was insisting you need to understand HTML first because
Yeah.
if you don't understand HTML, we don't know how to select. If you don't know how to select, we can't style. If you don't know how to style, we cannot even animate or even make the page alive, so to speak. Okay.
Yeah.
So everything is falling into place with each other.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
That is good. Or you're trying it.
Let me try.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, right?
Yeah.
So that is pseudo selectors, not pseudo but combinator selectors. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
combinator selectors again, they are based on relationship between an element and other things. Are they a direct child? Are they a sibling? Are they a descendant or things like that, right?
Yeah.
So now the other category of selectors that we have is what we call pseudo-class selectors. So we have pseudo-class selectors. Now these ones are based on they are basically used to define the special state of an element. So used to select an element in specific state. Specific state. Okay. So
Yeah.
the state could be something like when you move mouse over it, when you place focus over it, when you click on a link and it's active, and things like that. So the state of that particular element will be different from one to another. Okay. Now
Yeah.
let me use an anchor element to show up the states. Okay. So let me use uh, let me use a navigation element, for example. And the navigation element will have anchors, 4 of them, so you can see the difference. Well, it does not done them nicely the way I wanted, but that's okay. Let me just put them downwards like that. So I'll have here a link. It's not they're not going to go anywhere. Of course, we know that at that particular point we're supposed to put a page or a link where they go to, or a position in a page where we want them to be, isn't it? So I can say this is first link, or maybe let me just use something like https www.google.com, just to make it a little bit interesting, isn't it? So
Yeah.
here Google, then here I can have Facebook. So I have Facebook, then maybe I have Yahoo. So here I have Yahoo, and maybe say we have Instagram, right?
Yeah.
So https, sorry I missed yes, I don't know which ones I've not visited, so I think I've visited these others. I've visited all these others except Yahoo, so maybe what I could do is I could open this one in an incognito window so that it looks
Yeah.
like they've never been visited, right? So let me
Yeah.
open a new incognito window over here. Then I paste them here and I press enter. So you'll see the links have never been clicked, as you can see over here. Okay?
Yeah.
So the links have now been clicked. So what I want to do, we want to select this link when it has never been clicked on it in its original state. What do we want it to look like, right? So what I could
Yeah.
do is I could apply fields. I could come here and apply some style. So I'll say any link, any anchor. Then I pick the link status. That is the default, how it looks like as default. So the syntax for defining a pseudo class is the selector, then we use a full colon. Okay?
Yeah.
So selector, then full colon. So when I put anchor, then I put a full colon, then I put link. This means that any anchor element in its original status. Okay?
Yeah.
Original status. So what I want to do is, first of all, I want to remove the underlines. Okay? So I'll simply say
Yeah.
text decoration is none, like that. That will remove all the underlines. Don't worry about the styles. We're going to learn about them later on. So that will apply the styles, right? Then I can say maybe margin on top of any link, make it maybe say 10 pixels. All right. So 10 pixels is a little bit
Yeah.
is a bit okay. That one has gone to Yahoo. Control F5. So margin top maybe say 20 pixels. Is that big enough? Okay, I don't know. It's not applying, but let's assume that that's the style we want to apply to it. Okay. Then maybe say we want to change from this blue color to maybe say some gray color that is that's our theme color. Okay. So
Yeah.
here we can say color, then make it some sort of blue violet like that. This is our theme color. So you can see that is how the link looks like before it is clicked. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
the other thing we might say is when the link has been clicked, which means when it is clicked, it means it is active. Okay. When you click on it, it becomes
Yeah.
active. Okay. Then when it becomes active,
Yeah.
it means that I want the color to change to green. So just observe when I click on Google, you can see it becomes green, then it goes to google.com. I think that is too fast. Okay, it's too fast. That is visited rather should be active, not that should be active. Active. So I'll just this. So when I click on it, you can see it becomes active greenish a bit, then it goes. It goes greenish a bit, then it goes. You can see that. It's just
Yeah.
snap second, but maybe if I create a delay before it goes, then you'll be able to see it. But if I click on it, you can see it becomes green for a moment,
Yeah.
then it goes to the
Yeah.
other side, right?
Yeah.
So that is when it is active. Now, what happens when it is visited? So I can say here, when it is visited, I want the color to become orange. So every link that is visited, it becomes orange. So when I click on this, it goes to google.com, but when I come back, it becomes orange. Now I know here it's not going to become orange because this is not going to be saving the state. But if I come back to this other older one, and you can see now they've become orange. Okay?
Yeah.
If I click on it, it
Yeah.
becomes green. Then once it has been visited, when I come back, it becomes orange. Okay?
Orange.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me visit Yahoo. Yahoo has been visited. It has finished. Let me wait for it to finish so that it marks as visited. It is still loading, as you can see over
Yeah.
here. I'll wait for it to finish. I'll wait for it to finish. It's taking forever. I don't know why. But you get the idea, right?
Yes.
So when I put a link and I put a full colon, it means I want to sell this is a pseudo class. It means that it's going to be based on an element when it is when that particular state when it is on that particular state. Let me give you another classic example. Let's say we have an input down here. So we have a label here that asks you your first name, right?
Yeah.
So first name like that. So I'll put an input here. Sorry. Um, First name. So I'll put an input down here with of type text with an ID of first name. Then I'll put values first name. Then I'll place the placeholder. Enter your first name, something like that, right? So when I come
Yeah.
back here, you can I can refresh this so you can see enter your first name is here, right? So
Yeah.
what I want to happen is this. I want when this thing gets focused, when it gets focused, I want to change the font to something else. Okay. So immediately it
Yeah.
does focus, I want to change the outline or the border to be maybe say 1 pixel solid red in color or blue in color, just to show that that's focus. Maybe change the text to green, right? So only when
Yes.
that's focus. When the focus is lost, then it changes to the original state. So I'll come here and I'll pick my element with an ID of first name over here. So I'll put element with an ID of first name. Then I'll say when it has focus like that. So you can see when I do that and I come to it, when it has focus, then you can see it has changed. Okay. When it loses focus, it goes back
Yeah.
to original. When that's focus, it changes. Lose focus, it goes back
The
to
color.
its original state. So that is what
Yeah.
we're referring to as a pseudo class selector. So it can have,
Yeah.
I could move the mouse over it. I could move the mouse over it. I can click on it. I can have it active. It will depend on the nature of the element that we are discussing. Of course, now I'm going to give you the documentation where you can be able to read all the statuses of different elements we have within our forms. We have select boxes, we have labels, we have inputs, we have and inputs are so many. There is color, there is date, there is all sorts of them, isn't it? There's file, amongst so many of them. There's we have paragraphs and we have anchors and we have images and everything else. So you can be able to play around with any or all of them that you'd like to format. But what's important is knowing how to use the pseudo class, which means you pick your element, pick a full column, then you specify the state that you want to respond to. Then from there you can apply your styles as appropriate. Okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Kuna swali hapo?
No. Labda nijaribu.
Okay, maybe just try it. I think you can try it. I think creating links is not a problem. I think the statuses are what is a bit of a challenge, so maybe you can try that out.
Okay. I think it's okay.
It's okay, yeah?
Yeah.
So the other category of selectors I have, this was supposed to be, I think this was supposed to be number no, four, eh? No, number six, number, because the simple was number one. Then this was number two. Let me call it B. Combinator was two. Then after combinator, this pseudo was C. Then the other category of selectors is what we call, this is pseudo-class selector. We have what we call pseudo-element selectors. Okay?
Yeah.
Pseudo-element selectors. So D is pseudo-element selector, pseudo-element selectors. Now, what do pseudo-element selectors do? Pseudo-element selectors are used to style specific parts of an element. So, used to style specific parts of an element. Okay?
Yeah.
So you'd probably find like they're doing the first line or the first text or the content that is put just before a thing, something of the sort. Okay, so that's what pseudo
Yeah.
element selectors do. You use them to style a specific part of an element. It could be, for example, you want to style the first letter. Maybe say we have something like, you see the way they write newspaper, where they have a paragraph, then the first letter they do a drop cap, they do a very large letter A, then they continue writing the story, right? Something of that sort.
Yeah.
It's called a drop cap. So you can use a drop cap as a first letter. You can format a first line. You can even put a content before. You can put some content before that particular selector, and styles like that. So let's see how those ones work out. So let's assume that we have some paragraph here. So we have a paragraph down here, and we have some random text, something like that, right? So we have this text over here, okay? This is the paragraph we're talking about,
Yeah.
okay? So
Yeah.
into that paragraph, let's give it an ID of pseudo element. So ID equals pseudo, to make our work easier, pseudo element. Let's call it like that, pseudo element, okay? So I want this L to be a drop cap, very large L, right? So that now
Yeah.
only the L is a drop cap, similar to what we see in newspapers. So I can say newspaper, news. So let me just give you an image of newspaper. So you'll see something like, you see this delineation. Um, this one does not have what I want to see, but something with a drop cap, like this. You see this letter A, or even the Bible.
Yeah.
This letter A, then the rest of the things are small,
Yeah.
something like this. So I want us to achieve something like this on our
Yeah.
text over here. Okay. So what I'm going to do
Yeah.
is I will come here. Let me just minimize all of this so they don't take up a lot of space for us. So I'll come here and say, get me the element called pseudo element. And you can see first letter, it says, I want it to be two M's or two M's. Let me make it four M's to make it extremely big. So as you can see, it's extremely big. So of course, it's bigger than the rest of them. But what if I wanted the others to come up? Of course, I'll have to apply different styles altogether. Okay. So, but you
Yeah.
get the idea. So for the first letter, I've actually made it very big and applied red to color. So you can see for pseudo selectors, we put the selector, then we put double colon. So when you're selecting the pseudo class, we're putting single colon, but for the double class, for the pseudo element, we're putting double colon. Okay?
Colon.
Yes.
Yeah.
What if I wanted the first line to be drop caps? So if I wanted the first line to be drop caps, I would have just said that. Then I'll say first line. Okay? So first
Yeah.
line, I'll probably make the color different as you can see. And maybe I can say font variant, then make it small caps like that. So you can see these ones are going to apply, they're going to have small caps. You get the idea?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what have I just done here? Well, I missed the closing bracket. Yep, so that should now be okay. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is an example of a pseudo element. So we are picking this element, but then we are formatting only a portion of it, which is the first line or the
Yeah.
first letter. Let's say, for example, I have this style, and probably maybe, maybe let me create another element down here, and maybe say I want to underline I want to probably place some content before it and maybe say underline it or stuff like that. Because when it comes to styling, it's all about our imagination. Okay, so let me say I
yeah,
have something like a line here. I'll simply uh, let me put here heading 5. Or maybe say heading 6 because it's only going to be one heading 6. I'll say the next element there, next element. Right? So now the next element is in here. Well, let me make it 5 to make it a little bit bigger. Better let me make it 4. Yeah. So if I wanted to apply some underline over here, okay, and I want
yeah,
the underline to probably maybe then cover only the first text over here or stuff like that. So what I'll do here, I'll come and say, I want to pick H4, then I want to pick before. Before that H4, I want you to do the following. I want to create, first of all put content. Content is what I want to go there. Content, I'll say I want it to be blank. Blank means nothing, right? Then
yeah,
I want to put an underline, so I'll simply say, uh, uh, to put an underline, I want to draw a line. I'm trying to see the easiest way to draw a line. So I can say border, then I'll put 2 pixels, solid black. Okay, so I'll put a comma there. So you can see now I have this line over here, right? Then I can say the margin or the padding of that content is maybe say 10 pixels. So padding left is 10 pixels. You can see it moves slightly on the inside, 10 pixels, sorry. So you can see it moves on the inside. Okay, not a good idea, but margin, I should have put margin. Margin has moved on margin left. I can simply say margin right. So you can see now I've left some space in between. So you can see I have put this bar on this thing. But if you look at the actual content, the bar is actually not there, right?
yeah,
So what I've done is I have said before the H4, put this content, put a blank content, then add some border of 2 pixels solid and make it black, or you can put it any color that you want. So this one will basically act like a marker for me for all headings 4 inside my document, something of that sort. Okay, but then
yeah,
you can put both before and you can also put after,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You want to try that out? These are very
yeah,
interesting things because when you start styling, we're going to play a lot with this.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Can you scroll up a little bit?
You want to see it's only H4 that I've put.
No,
Okay,
no, the upwards, upwards.
the pseudo element. Okay, these ones, eh?
Yeah,
Okay.
Mr. Richard,
Yes, yes.
can you scroll down a little bit and see the comment?
Okay. Like I have this pseudo selector and I have this H4.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's the paragraph. It's just a paragraph with some lorem text.
yeah,
Just say lorem like 50 or 100 or maybe 30 even. I mean, you just want to demonstrate how the drop off works.
yeah. Think it's okay.
It's okay, yeah?
Yeah.
So that is what we call pseudo-element selectors. Then last but not least, we have what we call now the attribute selectors. attribute selectors. So these ones are used to select elements based on some certain attributes. Say, for example, in the specifically when I have things like forms, and they have names, or I want to target them by ID. Okay, ID is a bit easy, but let's say I want to target them. I want to get all the inputs of type numbers, or maybe all the inputs of type email, or maybe all the inputs of type maybe say a file. I want to format them differently, even though all of them are input. You get the logic. So
Yeah.
you have to apply some attributes and say, get me all the inputs, but limit it to the one that has the following name, or limit it to the one that has the following type, or any other attribute that I might want to be able to target. Maybe a data ID that looks like this, you know, all that kind of a thing. So let's see how that works out. Let's say, for example, I have a form here, and this form is not going anywhere, but I have a label that says maybe username. Okay,
Yeah.
username here. So I say here username. Then probably I have a label, an input rather, of type text rather. So here I want to have an ID of username. Okay. So this is
Yeah.
username, and this is also username. So let's say maybe say I have a break here. We're going to look at how we format these things later on. So let me
Yeah.
have a label for email, and I have email. Then break. Then I want about again label for password and password. So another break. Sorry. And I want to confirm password like that. So I have this form over here. You can see. So, well, maybe what I can do is for all the forms, all the child elements, maybe. So I'll come here and let me give my form an ID. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me give. Well, I don't know if the style is going to work down here. Let me try and see. So let me take my form and give it an ID. So I want to give it an ID of registration, isn't it?
Yeah.
Registration. So this form has an ID of registration. So I'll say, get me the form with ID registration. So what I want to do here is, well, it has really done a lot of work. I didn't want it to do that much.
Yeah.
So I want registration, and I want to pick all the elements inside registration and give them a margin topped of 10 pixels, for example. Okay, so let me just delete this, then I write it properly. So get me all the children, and for all the children, remove this one. I want all the children that are, well, I could have put a form group. So let me just put a form group so that I group the form elements together. So every element is going to be inside a form group like that. Ideally, that's how
Yeah.
ideally that's how we style it. Ideally, that's how we structure it so that now you don't need to use these breaks.
Yeah.
Form group, this group. So everything goes inside a form group here, like that. Okay, so everything goes inside. I remove this break. I put here form group. Then I will put this inside the form group. Then I remove this. Then I put another form group. Then I apply this. So each label input pair, sorry, each label and input pair are inside a form group. Okay, That's the whole idea, right? It won't change how it looks. It won't change how it looks. It'll actually look the same. But because div is a block level element, now you can see they are on top of each other. Okay? So that's the difference, right? So instead of putting breaks, 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 this is how we'll be doing it moving forward. Okay? So now what I want
Yeah.
to check is what I wanted to do is I want to do what we call, you see right now, if I put it under username, what I could simply come here and say input, then maybe the input, I simply say text, uh, font, family, or maybe say font size is maybe say 1.2 rem. So it means that every input that you have, it has a font size of 1.2 rem, which you can see is not really, really big, right? That's really big, right? So maybe
Yeah.
what I could put is when it comes to form group here, so when it comes to form group, so I want to change some margin. So I'll say margin bottom of 20 pixels. So they are at least spaced with each other, something like that. Then I can come here and say form group child that is label. So display it as a block and make it 5 pixels. So margin bottom is 5 pixels, and probably say the width is maybe say 100, which should be say 70 pixels, right? 70,
Yeah.
is 70 pixels good enough? No, but instead of saying margin bottom, let me say margin top. So all of them are affected. So password has not been affected. I don't know why. It's form group, and I think that's why margin bottom was not even working. So that's okay. So you can see now we have this. So if I do that, the font is very big for all of them. But I want to target different elements and maybe say give them different colors. So username is different, email is different, and password is different. So I'll say come here and say input. Then I'll come and put an attribute inside. Attributes are enclosed inside brackets like that. Okay. So for example, I say if the input is of type text, then if the input is of type text, then make it one rem. So you can see this one is text, this one is email, this one is text is 1.5, this one is email. Um, Passwords can I see? Uh, mm, so you can see I didn't need to put a space because I put a space, it means it's a child, eh? So the space was the problem. So this is a text.
Yeah.
You can see this one is now bigger, but this other one, this is email, it's actually smaller, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Then I can come here and say, so this is the attribute, this is the value. So I can simply say input, then I target a name. Maybe say this username field, for example. So it has a name, right? So if I say username, so input, then I can put here name is equals username.
Oh.
So you can still see username is the one that is bigger because I'm using get me an input with the name of username. So I can give the type, I can give the name, I can give any attribute that I'm really targeting as far as that particular element is concerned. Okay?
Yeah.
I can even
Yeah.
go ahead and give it, so I can say here, data ID. So let me give this type email. So if I want to apply the same style to two different elements, I'll separate them with a comma. Okay. So if I put a comma,
Yeah.
then I can put another element. So maybe let's say I want to target email. So I can simply say input with type equals to email. Do the following, right? So you see
Yeah.
that it has applied to this one and this one because this one has a name, username, so it has applied. And this one has the type email, it has also applied. And we can go on and on and on and on as much as we possibly want. So this is
Yeah.
what we're referring to as input selectors. And I can change anything. I can change the font size, I can change the background color, I can change the font name, I can change the padding, I can change margin. We're going to learn all these other things. For now, what was important is for us to understand how selectors work.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
You can try it out, then I think we can close it. Then we can continue on Wednesday, where we're now going to start looking at things like fonts and how we work with fonts as far as CSS is concerned.
Yeah.
Okay? Remember,
Yes.
don't worry about the styles that I've applied here. The styles that I was looking at are basically were basically just to show us the effect of selecting different objects. Okay, but of course,
Yeah.
we're now going to start looking at each and every one of those specific styles and how they work out, from fonts to backgrounds to all those things to hover effects and um, and even text decoration and all those kind of things. So we're going to really look at a lot of styles and how they apply to the different elements on our page. All right.
Yeah.
I hope it's still interesting because moving forward, we're just going to be building on what we have.
Yeah.
We're just going to be building on what we already have. So I think I didn't want this one to be blocked. So I want it to be 100. Okay, you can try it out, then we can call it a day. Victor, I think I can leave you continuing with this. Let me just share the video because I think at the end of the day, what's going to be
Ah,
important is
yeah,
just for you to try it out. Then, if in case there's something that is not working or broken, maybe you can let me know on WhatsApp. I can be able to assist you from then, right? Because there's no point of us
yeah,
recording silence just for you to try it out.
yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
Because
I
I
will
can
finish.
just stop the recording so that now